Hello and welcome to Seattle Movies Daily, the weekly podcast about everything going on in Seattle movies. This week, Marvel begins its push to Doomsday with a new Spider-Man movie. But is it any good? Plus, let's talk about Seattle superhero movies. But first, Greg Araki is back, and SIFF is doing better with the 70mm screenings, which, Liam, you saw Odyssey on 70mm and have some intel on one of the screenings. How did it go?
Hi, Chase. Well, first of all, on Friday, SIFF sent an email to people who had tickets for this weekend, which I think is the second to last weekend that they're showing the Odyssey in 70mm. Basically being like, look, we've had some technical trip-ups. In the event that happens, we will continue the film in DCP, try to switch back to 70mm, and they seem to be a little more ready for it. Why, that wasn't more of a consideration earlier, I don't know. But like we talked about before, this is a mechanically complicated process that requires a ton of vigilance on the part of the projectionist, Aaron, who is doing a tremendous job. I had some friends go to the noon screening on Saturday that I actually sold them my tickets for, because if you recall, I had multiple sets of tickets for this movie. They said it played perfectly. I'm a little jealous that they got their first and probably only experience of the movie perfectly projected in 70. But I went that evening to the sold-out 8 p.m. show. The vibes were different. I feel like the sickos were at our opening night. It was like silent and reverential at that screening, whereas this was a little more like people around me. I'm like, shut up, stop talking, shut up. I'm very sensitive because of my ADHD to people talking in the movie theater. But it was like a chiller, more enthusiastic crowd also, and I'm happy to report it went perfectly. There were no interruptions in the playing of the film. Aaron did an amazing job. It's funny to watch people, when the little blip pops up on the right side of the screen, like because of Fight Club. Well, I don't know if it's because of Fight Club anymore. For my generation, it was like you saw Fight Club and you learned what a real change was.
Right.
But there were people no joke. I was sort of in the back near the projection booth, and when that happened, I saw like multiple be like, lean over and be like, That's the projection. That's when we know we're gonna switch. Like, you know what I mean? So that was cool that people understands the mechanisms of film. It went well. It was. I was a little anxious about it because of the fact that the first screening we went to had this issue, and it seemed to play out pretty well.
No, and that's great to hear. And the thing I would say for folks that are listening, like, they're doing the best they can. Like, even on a night where it doesn't go well, it is that they're still doing great work. And be considerate of that for every screening and I did a story in the Seattle Times about this. They are working with equipment from a company that no longer exists because it dissolves. And so you have to think about, how do you get those parts if you need to replace something? And how do you kind of carry on with equipment that might have been sitting around for a bit, even though that apparently can also not necessarily always be the worst thing. You're having to do what you can with what you have, and it's really remarkable that it's happening at all, and I'm glad that things have been going off smoothly. But with what you were saying about the opening screening we went to, there were people taking photos of the booth sitting behind us, and we chatted with them for a bit, which was very lovely. And so I'm glad all folks are coming out, that the broader audiences are excited, the film format freaks are excited, the fantasy heads are excited, everybody. It's great to have it be that this is becoming such a big moment for I think 70mm, but then also just like movie going in general. And I think those two things becoming very, very intertwined in our current movie going landscape.
This brings a question to me, which is I think there's been a little bit of blowback on the 70mm thing. I think, first of all, the Nolan says you have to see this movie in 70mm IMAX is overblown. I've seen interviews where he's like, I don't care if people watch movies on
just
my
go
phone.
see it.
Just see the movie, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And I feel like there are people who are like, I'm not going to see the movie if I can't see it on IMAX, which is like...
And that's a bummer, yeah.
It's a bummer. I think 70 millimeter is getting a huge bump from this because people, like normal people, like I have a friend in who lives in California, who lives in Glendale, who went and saw it at a theater, the Alex Theater in Glendale, California, and he
Mm.
was like, I saw it in 70 last night. So like we're actually finding a middle ground between like puritanical 70 millimeter IMAX thinking and like just DCP kind of approach to this. This is anecdotal, but I'm feeling it. And I think that actually, IMAX is for sale.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I mean, and that actually, like, well, it doesn't keep me up at night because I'm so tired, but that's not good right now. That's actually not a good thing. But I do think that we could start to see an upswing of local, smaller 70 millimeter. Like SIFF bringing back 70 millimeter is not a blip. It is evidence of a larger trend.
Yeah, and they're going to probably bring back the 70 millimeter festival at a certain point because that was the big thing at
What
the
kind of
Cinerama.
movies did they show?
2001: A Space Odyssey was
Nice.
a big one. Lawrence of Arabia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Sort of your classics, like, and this connects to a broader conversation of repertory screenings can often be the big things, and I think Seattle would benefit from like a dedicated repertory theater.
Hell yeah, brother.
And I guess the Beacon is kind of close in that regard.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, they also show new stuff. Go ahead.
Well, they do, and also like some of their screenings are definitely 4K Blu-rays, which is not a criticism, but it's like that's what they can afford to do at the level they're at. They don't look bad. I saw we saw The Gospel According to Matthew, which I did
great.
fall asleep during. Sorry, but that was
I wasn't gonna rat you out. You just
That's
did
fine.
it yourself.
I was tired. I was so tired, but that was a Blu-ray. It looked great. It did, I mean, it is essentially, and I actually love this. It's like essentially a much, much larger television screen in that theater. But like you go there for the vibe and the cinephilia, and like it always looks good from a projection perspective. But we'll probably talk about this in a couple weeks. But Teenage Death and Sex at Camp Miasma is playing 35 millimeter at SIFF. They played The Invite in 35 a few weeks ago. So. Yeah, I mean, people want tactile analog experiences.
Yeah, and if we want to tease that, that will be opening at SIFF on August 13th. You can get tickets now for the 35 millimeter
my
screenings.
ticket for the 7:30 on August 13th tonight.
Hell yeah.
Today.
And,
are you going to go?
I mean, potentially. I may or may not be working on some coverage surrounding it that you'll be able to find more of us talking about here from a variety of different kind of angles on it, because I think it's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Exciting. That's really cool.
No, yeah. But I think to close out kind of the SIFF Odyssey conversation, I'm glad that it's doing well. I hope that it carries on into the third weekend of doing well. And for all of the challenges, I was at Scarecrow Video and people were openly talking about the 70 millimeter challenges. It's a work in progress. And even when it was the kind of 70 millimeter festival, it's never going to be 100% perfect. And I think showing grace to the folks there and an appreciation that they're giving it a go. This was the big thing that everybody was wanting to see happen, and now it is. And so hopefully that can continue. And hopefully more projection folks can get involved as well. It sounds like that's a big part of it, because you want to have those craftspeople finding work here and being able to hone that craft, because it's a craft. It's a big deal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just got to continue to support that and hopefully make it happen.
Absolutely. The only other thing that kind of would be worth updating is that while projectionists are not part of the SIFF union, the SIFF union is still negotiating for a new contract. They had the walkout at the downtown that I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention. But it sounds like there has been some positive, at least like indications that they've received based on some reporting I'm working on. But that it's still, we're going to have to kind of sit tight and wait and see on how that walkout and how the rest of the summer into the fall looks in terms of their relationship with SIFF, because they obviously care about SIFF in the organization but are feeling not supported by it. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Do you have any other closing thoughts for this, Liam?
My last thought would be thank a cinema worker when you're at SIFF this weekend. I chatted with some of them when I was getting my popcorn. I regret to inform you, like the chocolate popcorn, while it was good to have once, it's not my long-term plan. But
it's very rich, yeah.
It's so rich. They told me, and I did the 50-50. I didn't do the uncut chocolate, the uncut. But they told me to send an email to SIFF if you want to support, and it's especially important for members, of which I am. So send an email to the theater just saying that you support the SIFF, workers. And, you can support SIFF and you can support the workers at the same time. This is not, just to reiterate, this is not a call for a boycott. We're not at that stage. And movie theaters, especially small nonprofits like SIFF, both need to do right by their employees, but also need support from their community. End of lecture.
No, yeah, and that's from a reporting perspective was what I was told as well, is that they want people to continue to support SIFF, but also express their support for the union, donate to their GoFundMe, because those are the people that everyone wants to see coming out to see movies, that kind of dedicated audience. That bottom line, you want to see those people being involved and showing up, and then from the perspective of the union, speaking out in support of them.
Totally. Should we take a break?
We should. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Gregg Araki is back with the new film, I Want Your Sex. This played at the Seattle International Film Festival this year, and I've heard from folks was one of their favorite films. And it is now returning to area theaters before coming to the Grand Illusion later next month. Liam,
what did you think of the film? You saw it. You saw it. Did you see it at Sundance?
I saw it at Sundance, yeah. Because Gregg Araki is a staple of Sundance. And when he was there, and it was the last year there, he thanked Robert Redford, he thanked all these people. And this is very much a Gregg Araki movie. I would say it's more smiley face than it is mysterious skin. And I mean that both positively, but also kind of with some mixed feelings.
I heard it's very broad and screwball, which is
which is
synonymous
fun.
With
and it's the very basic premise of it is it centers on Cooper Hoffman, who is an intern who begins working for Olivia Wilde's renowned artist Erica Tracy. Olivia Wilde having a big year, also with The Invite, that was also at SIFF, which she was here for.
She's having a big comeback.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. Do you think this is like the Olivia Wilde year? Like, I tend to think everyone was like, oh, Anne Hathaway's in 5 movies. But Olivia Wilde is in 2, for the most part, especially with The Invite, like acclaimed movies that are kind of making a splash.
Well, also, Olivia Wilde, now granted, Olivia Wilde is the writer-director of The Invite, but she came to Seattle for the Seattle International Film Festival. And it's hilarious because the Getty images are her and Katie Wilson. You can't imagine 2 more different people in a photo together. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple years ago there was what I would describe as the "Don't Worry, Darling" fiasco. I mean,
which was not her fault.
No,
it was such a mess. Yeah,
it was a mess, and it detracted from the movie. And which I mean, granted, I kind of half watched when my wife was watching it.
It was a fun enough movie.
Yeah, I think it got. I think in our modern age, it got tagged with a lot of like meanings and metatextual components that like are fun to talk about, but in the wrong way can negatively impact how things are perceived.
It became about the press cycle, not the actual movie. Because I went to go see it
and all this stuff, and I don't know. The movie's also like been memory hold. No one talks about it.
Yeah. So people are talking about it now, but mostly in the context of, hey, that was okay. It looked nice at times. And now I think obviously The Invite and then also this are like more worthwhile films because it is a screwball sex comedy, but I think it's kind of oddly sweet in how it like treats young people and sex and how they're not having sex. Araki said on the Big Picture podcast that he views himself as both characters, that there are parts of him in each, where it's like one is very open and confident, maybe to too much of a degree, and the other is like just trying to figure out what they want and their own desires. I don't know. I think it's one that could be a fun time for folks to see. And it's part of the Charlie XCX ongoing movie project as well, because she's in it very briefly in a very, very funny role.
Yeah, when I saw her, I haven't seen the film yet. And actually, Araki is a bit of a blind spot, but I'm going to watch The Doom Generation, which when I was a kid, I remember seeing at the video store and being like, that movie's like not for me. Like that's a grown up movie, you know? That was 35 years ago. But yeah, I am excited to check this one out, and I'm gonna try to do like an invite. I Want Your Sex double if I can do that. Speaking of double features, the Northwest Film Forum is doing an Araki double feature later this month. They are showing they're calling it Two Angels in the Night, a Gregg Araki double feature. They are showing the newly restored version. I'm sure it's a 4K restoration of Mysterious Skin, which stars a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and back when
Brady Corbet.
when he was Brady Corbett, Brady Corbet, and then Gregg Araki's long unavailable debut feature, Three Bewildered People in the Night. Right, So Araki makes a lot of movies about younger people, about them having sex, about being horny. He's queer. His films he's like sort of a legend of the new queer cinema. And I think, the queer cinema of the 90s was very different from what often is perceived as mainstream queer cinema now. I would say I'm a huge fan of queer cinema of the 90s, of filmmakers like Todd Haynes and Gregg Araki, and the general vibe of these very these movies that are much more elastic and can kind of play with identity in a really interesting way. It was really, really interesting movies. So Northwest Film Forum is showing those two, and that is later in August. And then also, The Beacon is screening Mysterious Skin around the same period of time, late August. So you'll
have plenty of chances.
Movies,
yeah.
And Michelle Trachtenberg is in Mysterious Skin too.
She's great in it too. Yeah, the entire movie is kind of a real painful but like poetic portrait of young people. And I had myself not really seen it until recently. And I know there's some complicated reflections people have about the restoration and like whether the original is worthwhile, or like whether you should just stick with the original. But
What's the difference?
I think, let me see.
Did he like add stuff?
I don't think he added anything. There was some sort of big thing that was happening, because he's done restorations for other things. I think there was some it's like tinkering stuff, but people always have thoughts about that.
Yeah,
like
I think
whether,
that's tricky.
Yeah, but it's his vision, and I would say no matter what, it's worth seeing. And so I'm probably going to see it, yeah.
You know where you can watch the original Mysterious
Scarecrow.
Skin cut? Is it Scarecrow? You stole my bit. It would be at Scarecrow. It's still there. This is why we are so lucky to have a physical media store, because one of the great challenges of the streaming and tinkering age that we live in now is you can't see things the way they originally
and
were.
so you got plenty of choices, plenty of opportunities. You should see it. And if you want to then check out his new one, I think it's a worthwhile one. It's a silly one, but I had a good time with it and was just glad to see him making movies, because he'd been making a lot of TV now, which, is fine. I don't know if I was necesslarly...
This is called Seattle Movies Daily, Chase. It's not called Seattle TV Daily. Moving on. I appreciate that Araki kind of has experimented and messed around, and like last week's topic of discussion, winding refn, you got to go where the financing is when you're an independent filmmaker, and he was able to make a TV show for Stars, I think.
He's done a couple different things. I think he did one of his own kind of projects.
He did. It's produced by Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah.
He's his old buddy from Cannes. So they were probably there at the same time a bunch of times.
Yeah, but it's a great... even if you haven't seen any Gregg Araki movies, I actually don't think this would be a terrible start. Like, I think you could find this pretty accessible, and then also I would recommend go back and see Mysterious Skin. Even though I will prepare you, like, this is more light, fun, screwball sex comedy, even as it becomes kind of a murder mystery thriller. Whereas Mysterious Skin, the central kind of mystery, for lack of a better word, is a pretty heavy subject. But I think one that, to me, with like my own personal experiences with that, like really just knocked me out the first time I saw it. And so I would say definitely like that's the one where if you need to see the movie that kind of defined him in the public imagination, it's definitely Mysterious Skin. Whereas again, this is more smiley face silliness. Although smiley face was like, I guess, mostly more about weed, and this is about sex. You should see Smiley Face. Smiley Face is fun too.
You kind of went out, you kind of disassociated there for a second and found your way back. No, I do. He's a little bit of a blind spot, but I've seen some of his TV work. So, and I'm really into the Olivia Wilde songs that we seem to be living through.
She's having a moment.
She's having a moment.
Well, I think that wraps up our chat about Gregg Araki Summer, Olivia Wilde Summer, so many summers.
And also the summer of Marvel's rebirth? Question mark?
Sure. We'll talk about that when we come back in our final part of today's podcast. Stick around. And we are back after a 20-hour pause.
Yeah, we changed outfits. We slept, hopefully.
I mean, sleep, who needs it? Who cares?
I need sleep so desperately, my friend. I'm a lot older than you. I mean, I'm sure you need sleep too, but
I feel old.
I crave. Well, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
Speaking of old, Marvel.
Yeah. So look, I want to start off by saying I have nothing against these movies. I think these movies could be fun. And
they
if anything,
they
have been fun.
And they're good for the industry.
And they're, well, yeah, I take the James Gray perspective a little bit of you need to invest in the mid-budget adult fare and you can't just...
I totally agree with that, but I also think that, like, they do hire a good amount of people.
Yes,
now, there are
yes.
labor issues around that, especially as it relates to the visual effects, so I'm not going to sit here and, like, say it's all good, but I think anything that brings people into the movie theater... And we need diversity in movies, but we can't clutch our pearls. And these are just one part of a wave of movies like Westerns were, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. And so that now brings us to Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I have seen and I think is fun to start out with and has some more inventively like shot and staged scenes than I've seen in any of the Tom Holland live-action Spider-Man movies. And
so we should pause here and say that this is the first Spider-Man movie directed by Daniel Destin Cretton, whose career has certainly not gone the way that I thought it would after Short Term 12 and that other film he made, which I can't remember the name of, but that I quite liked.
I liked Short Term 12.
But his feature before that about the musician...
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
I liked that film as well. I thought it was really, really interesting.
But now he's in the Marvel machine because he directed Shang-Chi, which kind of ended up going nowhere or not really having as much significance in these. And so this is his follow-up, and I think is fun until it collapses under the weight of the obligation to Marvel. And that's where my relationship to this is just like, it feels like homework. It feels like you're midway through a movie about fun, exciting neighborhood Spider-Man. Tom Holland gives a game performance and is having a good time. Little mixed on the like more heavy trauma stuff, but you're going with it. And then it's like, oh, we're setting up for certain other big characters' origin story. Or
Can
at
we
least,
do a spoiler alert and you just tell me? Because I'm not going to watch this movie.
I hesitate to even do it. They're going to get upset. Someone already spoiled it on the red carpet.
All right, listen.
It's not even
I'm doing
really
a marker.
spoiler.
Spoiler. Okay, so is Sadie Sink Jean Grey?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And it's not a huge surprise. The movie kind of doesn't treat it as a surprise.
Okay.
The moment where you learn her name is sort of just like awkward. It's like very brief. And if anything, the most interesting parts of the movie to me were when we didn't know who she was, where this was this total mysterious person jumping from body to body. The sequences of that are kind of fun, but also like unsettling, where she's like talking to him from all these other places. It's good stuff. And then once it becomes, oh, but we have to explain every single part of how she got here and who she is, it just grinds to a halt. And it's really unfortunate because I was having a good time. Other people were having a good time. And I was so close to being like, oh, I'm locked in. I'm having a good time.
Okay, interesting.
And then it becomes what feels like Avengers 2.5.
Who else
And
shows up?
well, the Hulk shows up.
Is it Mark Ruffalo?
It is Mark Ruffalo.
Dude, Mark Ruffalo. I think these movies are good for the industry. They're bad for Mark Ruffalo.
I know.
Make movies, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, we need to see him. We need to see him in other stuff. The Punisher shows up. Tremel Tillman is a new character as far as I know, unless he popped up in one of the shows. He's playing the head of this shadowy government agency called Damage Control, which is a terrible name. That also drags everything down because there's something hidden away in a room, and you're just waiting for them to get back to whatever that is. When it's like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, even though I don't want to always just go back to those, were fun because it was like, oh, he's saving ordinary people and just like kind of going about his life.
He was your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah. And this is like so close to recapturing some of that charm. And I even think, even though I don't really like a lot of the construction of it, the first Tom Holland solo Spider-Man movie was like, oh, he's in high school and like Homecoming and like all those things. And this is like, okay, he's now older, which they have a couple clever jokes about it. But I was just tired. It feels like other people are having a more positive reaction to it, but I'm much more in the David Ehrlich. I found this to be kind of a drag at a certain point.
How is Zendaya as Athena in this one? Is she?
Well, that is interesting because there are 3 Odyssey people in it. It's her, it's John Bernthal, and it's Tom Holland. And Tom Holland had given the interview where he talked about the experience of working on the Odyssey made him want to bring more of that like practical like feel and like reality to these Marvel movies. And I was sort of like, oh, my sweet summer child, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, this is on par with the guys who, I guess they're the guys that are doing Doomsday that did that first Captain America Winter Soldier, which I think is a good Marvel movie.
I think that is a good Marvel movie.
But when they were like, it's our parallax view, like they have the actors doing that now, right? Like it's an urge to like, which I don't think they're even going for anymore, of giving it like, no, there's real cineast credibility to these
and
they don't have to be. That's not what they're doing. But
like later this summer, I'm gonna go to bat for the movie Hope, which has like some iffy visual effects and is like chaotic and like all over the place, but is fun and doesn't feel like it's a branding thing, that it's about extending a brand. This has oftentimes very iffy visual effects where I don't know if any of the characters are even in the same room. And
Spider-Man does. You're talking about Spider-Man has the iffy if they're in the same. Same thing with that trailer for Doomsday.
Yeah,
it looks like they shot it in a black room.
Yeah, and then it's just like at a certain point you're like, well, what was the? Not that every movie has to have a purpose, but what was the through line for this character? And it sort of doesn't feel like the title, which is, oh, this is Brand New Day, a new chapter. It sort of felt like back to business as usual in a sense.
That's disappointing. I actually have only seen the first Spider-Man solo movie. I didn't. Oh, no, that's not true. I saw the first one. And then I watched the one that had the 3 Spider-Man meme pointing at each other one, Far From Home. And I thought that movie was, I'm going to launch my haterade here. Apologies. I thought that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
And I am a huge Raimi Spider-Man, and I love Willem Dafoe, and I love Alfred Molina. But that movie for me just like, I don't have affinity for Garfield's Spider-Man. I never saw them, so that could be part of the problem. But I just found that to be like a mess.
Yeah.
And I wasn't moved by it.
And it was just about bringing back people together. And so I was like, fine, the past is dead. Let's go on to this one. You can always revisit the old ones. And this just doesn't, save for the beginning, like the first 15 minutes and one particular sequence of him doing a leap off of a building, which made me think of the Spider-Verse animated movies, which are
great.
Which are great, partly because like the animation is like really incredible. Sometimes the second one narratively stumbles a bit, but it felt like, oh, we're doing something new with this character. This just kind of goes back to, oh, he's a small piece in this bigger Marvel machine that, again, I understand that you have to kind of keep people coming back and engaged and all these things, and there are these obligations, but it just is like, can't we have a good movie? Must it be that it has to then continually set up this next thing, this X-Men connection, and this other device, because he creates a device that they flag multiple times is probably going to be important. And I just don't care.
Like an Infinity Stone or something?
Not quite. It's more technological in nature. And that was another thing, is people have already been feeling like Spider-Man with all of his tech is starting to feel like Iron Man 2.0, when it's like, no, he was just always some kid. And I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to talk too much more about it, because I just kind of get depressed at the end of it. But I have had a hard time with the last few, even the ones that other people have liked. So
Like
maybe, well, I didn't think Thunderbolts was anything special. Again, especially because it ends up being, oh, they actually are important, when the whole appeal of it was, oh no, they're just this scrappy ragtag group who don't mean anything. And it's like, oh, actually they do mean something. And there is a connection to that in this. So maybe other people will like it, and I want to like provide that good context of, sometimes if you hear someone talking about something negatively, you're like, well, that doesn't bother me, so maybe I'll have a good time. Maybe people will have a good time. I like past that first 15 minutes began to go, oh no, we were close. It was like good enough to make you wish that it was better. And
that is a real bummer, and disappointing to hear, because I don't know. I want these, like, I grew up, the most significant superhero movie of my lifetime is 1999's Batman. Like, it really changed my life. It made me want to make movies and like be in that world. So and so the fact that these don't work, like, I was a pig in shit when they started and they did like Captain America. And I thought the Avengers was really cool. And I don't know. It's gone on too long for me, and I'm a little tired of it.
And that's the thing, is you continually are hoping they're going to do a reset, because instead they're building to Doomsday, because the thing I'm realizing is I've seen so many of these, but I kind of don't care. But I have like a deeper understanding than I would maybe say at this point, like the general audience does, which I think is a problem for them. But it's that they're building to this new kind of Endgame-esque event, and now it's Doomsday. But I don't care if I don't enjoy the movies along the way there. Like, if every other movie you're sort of like, oh, this is just a setup movie, or becomes that, or it doesn't really like have anything else to stand on. Like, when you watched the Tim Burton Batmans, you were like, oh,
masterpiece. Yeah.
There's something just like really engaging about these as their own thing. You weren't thinking about, well, when is Catwoman going to show up in the next one, even though she's great and Michelle Pfeiffer's great? Or when is new villain going to come in? Like, it was like, oh, we're sitting and watching something and engaged with it as it is.
I would say that's the innovation of the Marvel Studios, is that they figured out a way to make, and you could say innovation, you could say that maybe they've out-innovated themselves.
I was going to say, I think it's come back to bite them in the ass, because...
Yeah, well, movies are self-contained events and had been for 100 years before we got Iron Man, Thor 2, The Dark World, or whatever.
Yeah, but I think that, like, you could do this well. Like, I feel like they're just overdoing it. Like, you could have it be that there's a better balance to strike between, like, the thing is, I don't even like talking about it this much. It sounds like it. As a closing thought, it reaches a point where this might just be for the hardcore fans. Like, it's still going to make a lot of money because it's a cultural kind of
$1 billion
behemoth. Yeah. But at a certain point, like, with the amount of stuff that just feels extraneous, but then ends up being like narratively important, but emotionally empty and not actually that entertaining, it's really tough for me to like continually say it's at all even close to what it was. Like, this one getting more praise, I feel it comes from the bar being a little bit low. Again, maybe people
You're
really
being very polite.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Well, as Spider-Man's dad, Odysseus, once told me, you can't go home again. And we might be way past the point of these movies just feeling like refreshing, like they were 15 to 20 years ago. Because 15 to 20, I mean, I was in it through Endgame, and I kind of fell off. And I actually, candidly, don't think I've finished a Marvel movie since Endgame.
Yeah. Speaking of 15 years ago, there is a Seattle superhero movie.
Oh, yeah, we should very quickly cover our Seattle superhero So, if you're not really feeling Spider-Man, but you do want to watch a superhero movie, I'm gonna recommend Chronicle, which I just did a video for CityCast Seattle, which is like kind of a gnarly found footage superhero movie filmed in South Africa that's set in Seattle, but the only real claim that it has is like gratuitous shots of the Space Needle.
Yeah.
But I make the argument that it's a movie about Kurt Cobain.
Yep.
In my video.
And it was compelling. I was on board for that. And I remember seeing this movie when it first came out and was like, oh, that was just like totally detached from anything, had no expectations on it. And then the unfortunate thing, not to go negative with a positive, but was then it was like, oh, Josh Trank, the director, let's have you make a Fantastic Four movie.
Some
and
people
I was like,
swear by that movie, dude.
I'm glad for them, but I don't know if I can fully get
I know
on
one
board.
guy. I should be clear. I know one guy who swears by that movie.
But this was like a tight sub 90-minute thriller, basically. And
Found footage, so it has like
footage.
an innovative style to some extent.
Yeah, and I think it's just a well-made, well-acted movie. For a lot of folks, it introduced them to Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan, who I think are great for what it is. And it kind of gets like pretty dark. They pull back a little bit, like without spoiling anything. There is a scene where Dane DeHaan's character, who when he gains this power when they discover something, begins to use it and like inflict violence upon bugs like a spider. He removes all of its legs. There was a scene where he was going to do that to a person, and I think they probably smartly pulled back from that.
Yeah, they can't.
That would have jumped like full into horror, but like
Yeah.
there's still that feeling underneath it of like, oh, I think this like and I know The Boys was a comic before this, but like sort of was a precursor to like the Boys era of like, oh, what if like troubled people or people with, I don't know, delusions of their own power and grandeur were given this like immense power. It was like it was a before its time kind of skeptical superhero-esque portrait that I had fond memories of and would revisit 5 million more times than I would Spider-Man Brand New Day, unfortunately.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's worth checking out. So, and then, of course, there is this still to be released documentary.
Which I hope we'll get to
Seattle's-
talk about more in the future, yeah.
Seattle-owned superhero Phoenix Jones, right? Is that the name of the doc? Phoenix Jones, The Rise and Fall of a
Real-life superhero.
Real-life superhero, which you've seen and played at SIFF, at the
Yeah.
SIFF Film Festival. It's weird I have to say SIFF Film Festival because it is the Seattle International Film Festival earlier this year, and we had the host was on, or the director was on CityCast Seattle to talk about that. So
Yeah.
hopefully that comes out in the near future.
And I think it's an interesting one and sort of, again, is about, in a different way, it's more of a documentary, but it's about our relationship to superhero movies and like the way it shaped the culture and in
Which
particular
you're saying is
one...
only for good. It's only been positive.
Yeah,
There's been
exactly.
no negatives to that.
Yeah.
Vigilantism is not a problem. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I think that's it.
on that note, I think we can wrap up. But next week, when
Do we have
return,
any homework for people to do?
we will be talking Kiyoshi Kurosawa because The Samurai and the Prisoner opens at SIFF. And I spoke with the director, and he has his own Seattle ties dating back decades that we'll get into.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
And I would recommend folks get ready for that because there are many Kiyoshi Kurosawa movies to watch. Most recently, I would recommend Cloud, but I would also go back and say like Cure and Pulse. In particular, I think Pulse doesn't get enough love.
I might
really
watch
awesome.
that one before. I've seen Chime and Serpent's Path,
Yes.
which I wrote about, really bumming me out with no disrespect to those movies. They're cool.
But that'll be interesting to talk about too.
yeah,
And
but
so
I'm
yeah,
excited for this. I am like a big samurai movie
yeah,
guy, and I hear this is a little bit of a Sherlock and Watson kind of thing too. So
it is.
that's like exactly my wheelhouse. So I'm very excited to check this out. But yeah, and you can don't rent any of them this week because I'm going to. But Scarecrow Video has a lot. I'm sure they have a Kiyoshi Kurosawa section in their directors area, which is my favorite part of the store. So
Well, there you go. Don't rent them, but also do at some point.
no, do rent them. It's all right. I'll be fine. And I think some of them are on Criterion Channel
Yes.
as well.
Well, thanks everyone for listening this week. Again, if you're here, thank you for your support. Please spread the word about the podcast. Feel free to reach out if there are any things you would like us to cover. And other than that, we'll be back next week talking more Seattle movies.
Bye bye.